What's up guys, Sean Nalewanyj, SeanNal.com. And in today's video here, I just want to share a quick piece of beginner bodybuilding advice for the newer lifters out there. And that advice is to try to not overanalyze your physique in the beginning stages in terms of which muscles you think need more or less work. And instead, just focus on developing your entire body equally and on building an overall foundation of muscle and strength before you start worrying about any potential lagging muscle groups or weak points. I get these kind of questions all the time from people saying that their arms aren't growing or that their chest is weak or that they can't get their traps to grow. And then when I ask further, it turns out that they've only been lifting for 6 weeks and are pretty much just getting started in the gym. And there are a few issues with this. First off, as a beginning lifter, there's a pretty good chance that you probably don't even truly know what your actual weak points are yet. You might have inaccurate expectations about what a properly proportioned physique actually looks like, or you might think that certain muscles are supposed to be growing faster than they currently are. And you also don't have enough training under your belt to know how well or how poorly each muscle group on your body is going to respond. Because every lifter has certain muscles that grow faster or slower than others depending on their genetics. And this is especially true if you're starting out on the more overweight side and you're cutting down first. In that case, it's going to be really hard to know what your potential weak points are because they're going to be hidden by a layer of body fat and because body fat distribution isn't perfectly proportional throughout the entire body. The second issue with this is that trying to work on weak points early on in your training is likely going to take your focus away from other muscle groups that are just as important to build. And you'll end up with uneven development and your overall physique won't progress as quickly as it could. A lot of bodybuilding beginners will tend to focus on what they consider to be the showy muscles like the chest or the arms, when the truth is that every muscle plays an important role in bringing your physique together. And if you're trying to build a strong and muscular upper body, the chest and arms actually aren't as important as most people think. I'd actually say that the delts and the upper back play a bigger role in that. So overemphasizing chest and arms doesn't really make sense anyway. And then there's also, of course, the issue of upper body training versus lower body training, where beginners and just a lot of lifters in general will tend to put more effort into their upper body as opposed to their lower body, even if they don't really realize that they're doing it. And that's another big mistake to avoid for obvious reasons, because having a jacked upper body with minimal leg development is never going to be a good look. And then the third issue here is that by not focusing on developing your entire physique evenly, you actually end up increasing your risk for injury as well. That's because if you're constantly favoring certain movement patterns over others. For example, let's say you're doing a lot of compound upper body pressing and not enough pulling, or you're performing more work for your quads without also developing your hamstrings. These things can eventually throw your body out of balance and they can increase the chances of joint issues catching up with you later on. So bottom line here, as a bodybuilding beginner in the initial stages, your focus should be on building your overall physique evenly as a whole and on getting the fundamentals down first. So things like learning proper lifting technique, developing a good mind-muscle connection, applying basic progressive overload and getting stronger on all the major key lifts, gaining an understanding of nutrition and how to eat for your goals in terms of calories and food choices, just getting into an overall rhythm with your plan and staying consistent. And then later on, once you've added some decent muscle and some decent strength to your frame, I'd say about 6 months of consistent proper training is a reasonable time frame for people with average genetics. If you do build muscle faster, then you might be able to spot weak points earlier on, but about 6 months is a good minimum, I'd say, for most lifters. And then after that, you can optionally start looking at prioritizing certain parts of your training to address weaker muscle groups. So if it's 6 months in, it's blatantly obvious that your chest just isn't responding that well, even though you're using proper technique and enough total training volume and intensity, or your quads are growing but your glutes aren't, then it might be fine to increase the volume or the frequency for a certain muscle or increase the exercise variety for it. And the topic of how to train lagging muscle groups is something that I'll cover in a future video. But again, just focus on the fundamentals in those beginning stages because building muscle is a slow and gradual process. It takes time and patience, and so it doesn't really make sense to put more emphasis on a certain muscle group right out of the gate because again, you probably don't even know what your true weak points are yet. You don't know how each muscle is going to respond to training over time, and it will likely just take your focus away from building a balanced overall proportional physique. So I hope this was helpful. If you do want to grab a fully structured plan that covers everything you need to know to maximize your gains in those initial beginning stages and up to the intermediate stage and further, the workouts, the meal plans, the supplement guides, along with one-on-one coaching, so you can just put in the work and know that you're doing everything properly with no guesswork involved, then you can download my body transformation blueprint by clicking here or by heading over to bodytransformationtruth.com. Link is in the description. Make sure to like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. The official blog is over at SeanNal.com. And you can follow me on social media here if you aren't already. The links for that are also in the description box. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next video.